Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech and this is the camera review of the iQOO 11. This one comes with a triple camera setup on the rear with a 50 megapixel primary camera with optical image stabilization and a Samsung GN5 sensor. It also has an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera with 116 degree field of view. That's followed by a 13 megapixel camera with telephoto lens which offers 2x optical zoom. For selfies, we just got a single 16 megapixel camera with f2.45 aperture. Now here's the camera interface. Now this is how the camera user interface looks like. It is pretty similar to other phones in the same brand. Now these are some sample shots. First I'll start off with the selfies. Color reproduction is pretty good and the colors look close to reality and skin tones look good. It's close to reality. Dynamic range and exposure control are pretty good. Now these are some portrait selfies. Edge detection is pretty good. Colors look a bit saturated, but the skin tones look good. Overall, portrait selfies look pretty good. Now these are some selfies taken in low lighting conditions. Color reproduction is pretty good. As these selfies are taken in low lighting conditions, they're not too sharp and you can find greens, but that's to be expected. Now this is a sample footage from the front facing camera. Footage is a bit shaky, there is no stabilization. But if you just don't move around and stick to a single place, you can get a stable footage. With that said, color reproduction and the sharpness all look pretty good. This is the front-facing camera of iQOO 11. Audio is from the phone itself, so check out the noise cancellation and stabilization offered by the phone. So I'm just walking around with the phone in hand, so check out the stabilization once again. By the way, we can record video using the front camera only in two resolutions, that's at 720p and 1080p resolutions at 30 fps. Now on this phone we also have front camera portrait video and this is the sample footage. Footage looks good. It looks like a regular video with a background blur effect. Edge detection is not perfect but it's pretty decent most of the time. Now I have turned down the bokeh mode and you can see the background to be blurred, and this is the kind of effect you can get once you enable this feature. Once again, audio is from the phone itself, so check out the noise cancellation and stabilization offered by the phone in this particular mode. Now these are some sample shots from the rear camera. These pictures have good exposure control and good dynamic range. Colors look a bit saturated, but they are pleasing to the eyes. As for the color temperature, it is slightly to the cooler side. Now these are some pictures taken with the wide angle camera. Exposure control and dynamic range are pretty good. Color reproduction is good and the colors are close to reality. As for the color temperature, it is slightly on the cooler side. Now these are some portrait shots. Edge detection is good most of the times. Dynamic range and exposure control are pretty well managed. Sharpness is also pretty good. Color reproduction is good and the colors look pretty close to reality. Now even though this phone has a dedicated 50 megapixel camera, whenever you take a picture in the auto mode, that picture is automatically compressed using pixel binning. So for some reason, if you want to take a bigger 50 megapixel picture, you can use this dedicated 50 MP mode. Pictures taken in this mode are usually bigger in size, have lot more resolution and also carry lot more details. These are some sample shots. Now these are some pictures taken in low lighting conditions. In low lighting conditions, this phone does a pretty decent job. Images are slightly on the softer side, that's to be expected, but the color reproduction and the sharpness looks pretty decent. As for the colors, they are slightly to the cooler side. Now these are some pictures taken in low lighting conditions with the night mode. Overall, images taken with the night mode look much brighter and sharper than the regular auto mode. As for images taken in indoor lighting conditions, night mode makes the pictures look brighter and sharper. Next, we also have filters for the night mode. These are just some different sample shots taken with different filters. Next, we have a dedicated mode to take pictures of the moon. It's called the Super Moon mode. In this mode, you can take better pictures of the moon. Now for the video department, this is a sample footage recorded in 1080p resolution at 30 fps. This one offers stabilization and it looks pretty good. Exposure control and dynamic range are decent. Color reproduction is pretty good and the colors are close to accurate colors. Now this is a sample footage recorded using the wide-angle camera. This one also offers stabilization with the wide-angle camera, so the footage looks pretty good. Exposure control and dynamic range are decent. Color reproduction is decent, but the colors look a bit faded. Next, we can also record video in 4K resolution. Footage looks pretty stable, exposure control and dynamic range are nice. Color reproduction is also pretty good. Colors look pretty close to reality. Next, we can also record video in 8K resolution on this phone. And here's the sample footage, downscaled to 1080p. Footage is shaky, but exposure control and dynamic range are pretty good. Color reproduction is also pretty good. If you can just hold the phone steady, you can get pretty good footage. Next, just like any other phone out there, we can also record video in slow motion on this phone. In 720p resolution, we can record up to 240 fps. And here's the sample footage. In 1080p resolution, we can record up to 240 fps. And this is the sample footage. Next, we also have a dedicated nightscape mode for video recording. Now this is a sample footage recorded using the iQOO 11's rear camera without the night mode, and audio is from the phone itself, and we are recording video at 1080p resolution at 30 fps. So this is the kind of footage that you can expect on an iQOO phone if it didn't have that V2 chip and the night mode. Now this is the footage once again recorded on the iQOO 11 with the night mode turned on while recording video. Now as you can see, the lighting conditions are exactly the same, but you're able to see the difference. So let me know how this new feature is. Oh, by the way, audio is from the phone itself, and stabilization is also standard stabilization, and the phone is being handheld. So guys, what do you think about the camera performance of this phone? Do let me know by commenting below this video. With that said, this is Nikhil signing off. See you in my next video.